What's been going on with manga recently? But some of you might be asking, read that one manga, whatever do you mean? Two good examples that I will be further diving into will be Tokyo Avengers and Yofukashi no Uta, and two examples to pair with will be Berserk and Oshinoko. I've been caught up to Tokyo Avengers and Yofukashi no Uta for some time now, and there's an effect that made them special that in recent chapters has just vanished. Tokyo Avengers, for example, didn't have the most interesting main plot about gangs and fights, but with endearing characters and a great plotline, it became a manga that for some time I could say was my all-time favorite. But at some point, it just kept going, in the sense that our main character Takemichi reached his goal and he saved the day. But the author kept going and going and going, with chapters that not only felt redundant but didn't feel at all the same as earlier versions of Tokyo Avengers. And that's no hate to the author, as he has been able to time and time again keep me hooked during earlier Tokyo Avengers, but it just kept going far past what could have possibly been interesting. Or how about Yofukashi no Uta, a manga that I even made a video about? Well, the thing that made it interesting was that nighttime was a whole different world to Yamori-kun, and the vampires were enjoyable characters with their own personalities, cool powers, and interesting backstories. And the absolute hypercarry was the mystery of the detective. The detective was such a good character with ambitions that shook the world of vampires, and encounters with her kept it from being a repetitive shonen. But what happens? It keeps going. The detective gives up on her ambitions and just chills. But oh no, other vampires now know of her, and well, it seems that vampires are going into head-on-head shonen battles with Yamori-kun. And not only does he seem to be evolving at an alarming rate, but Yamori-kun has started to build his own harem. Some of it is cool, but some of it has such little interest value that it feels like it'll turn into fairy tale. Instead of nighttime being a whole world they shift between, the two most recent chapters kinda ate this problem. We only spend our time during night, which kinda spoils the fun aspect of it, as we don't get to compare it to our normal day events, just like how Takemichi's time-passing ability got spoiled after so long. So essentially, the real problem with these two is that they kept going past the point of extreme interest. They turn into some annoying or generic battle shonen, spoil whatever made the manga interesting in the first place, and once the goal was accomplished, more things started happening, which kinda ties back into the first point. Even if this is the case, the two mangas still had a very endearing earlier start, and Yofukashi no Uta still has current chapters that keep me hooked on the story, even if it's kinda shifting to a different side. But there are manga that have a very interesting plot and do keep going. And obviously I have to bring up Berserk. Berserk is my all-time favorite manga, and a lot of other people's, because it is located at number 1 on Mal. Berserk from the start is a interesting medieval set manga with the implanted idea that there are demons inhabiting this world. And guess what? Guts isn't a god. That's Griffith. He loses to apostles. He doesn't get a ultra power boost out of nowhere. The manga bases us off growth and understanding how much of a skilled swordsman Guts is. Many times, Guts is only alive due to him mastering a greatsword, and that's awesome. Guts as a character changes, but in an understandable way. Guts was never the great hero who could never do wrong. A lot of times he is definitely in the wrong and should probably chill. But that's what makes it special, and him growing as a character doesn't spoil how special it is. Okay, let me get up from under Berserk's table and talk about Oshinoko. Another manga which I've already made a video about, which is also slowly rising to one of my favorites. The manga is about showbiz and acting and other stuff, but with a bit of murder mystery, quote unquote. It's too early in the manga's time to say it won't sway to another path, but currently what's happened to Aqua is he had a goal to murder his dad, found a hint that his dad doesn't matter, and that goal got passed down to someone else. The aspect of repetitive interest can't really happen unless the author wants to make a murder mystery portion take over for a couple of chapters, which could get repetitive. But just reading the characters act out scenes in the manga gives me enough chills to compare this manga to Tokyo Avengers. So, what does this mean for other manga? Well, mostly more interesting and unique ideas that branch out can make a really interesting read without straining the author of ideas. The story they want to create should be a breath of fresh air so that their mind can really jump around with stories such as Dorohedoro and Blue Period. Things like that will probably allow the author to sway from turning their story into a battle shonen, and even battle shonen can do an excellent job of keeping me interested, such as Jujutsu Kaisen, which swaps between perspectives constantly. It's been like 25 chapters since we've actually seen Itadori, and that keeps ideas fresh. Or even Chainsaw Man, which had one of the best takes for shonen manga, other than Jujutsu Kaisen, because it was a brutal read at every given point with a very interesting protagonist and extremely endearing side characters. So my final verdict is make more manga such as Oshinoko, because unless your manga starts off as a battle shonen, it definitely won't help turning it into one.